Hey parents, it's teacher Annette from Preschool 2. And today I'm going to be talking about the health and physical development domain learning activity for preschool, Friday week 4. This one is not so much a pre-planned activity as something that you can just incorporate into your lifestyle as it is now. So yesterday we talked about developing scissor skills, and this is a form of fine motor development with you know, the finger placement and the controlling of fingers to cut, and this continues that theme of fine motor development. So the activity is for a young preschooler. As the child develops small muscle control and hand-eye coordination, so like we were talking about with the scissors, give them opportunities to handle objects and work with tools such as cooking utensils as they help in meaningful ways around the house. For the older preschoolers, as the child continues to develop small muscle control and hand-eye coordination, give them opportunities to handle objects and work with tools such as safe hardware tools as they help in meaningful ways around the house. So the only real difference here is your child's skill level and what you're comfortable with letting them help with. So for younger preschoolers, you know, cooking is a good place to start. Even with older preschoolers, cooking should ideally be incorporated into you know, their responsibilities around the house. Not necessarily like making a whole meal by themselves, but you know, they can help with small things here and there, depending on, you know, their age and all that. It can be anything from, you know, stirring the soup to helping you, you know, mash potatoes, or helping you to dish out plates, you know, helping you to set the table. And when you are comfortable with your child handling the safer household tools, then that's also a great thing for them, regardless of their gender, and same with cooking, regardless of their gender, to get into and kind of develop the skills for. And it can be something like, you know, helping you to paint some wood or some furniture or a wall, helping you to, you know, screw in some screws, maybe, you know, after you've gotten them in a little and they just need to be tightened a bit before you can really tighten them up. If you do allow them to use a hammer, make sure it's a smaller, lighter one, because a heavier one, of course, they're not going to really be able to control that, and you know, they're going to wind up smashing their fingers or someone else's fingers. So with that, you might want to do hand over hand too. So that's basically, you know, they're holding on to the hammer and then you take your hand and you just kind of gently guide them. And you know, it maybe sounds a little weird to have your child help you do the adult things, but really, you know, the earlier you start developing these life skills, the better they're going to be at it by the time that they are, you know, teenagers or adults, and they can help shoulder some of the household responsibilities, and you know, it strengthens your family unit. And it's not even just about cooking or you know, using tools, doing household projects. It's also about introducing them early to light chores, light housework. You don't want to overwhelm them, and you're definitely not striving for perfection. You're just introducing them, you're teaching them how to do it, because if you don't show them how, they're not going to know how. And you know, as early as 2, they can start helping to pick up their toys. you know, by 3, they can start helping you weed out the yard, or, you know, set the table for a meal, or put laundry in the basket, or put, like, if you have a front-loading washer or dryer, to help put the clothes in the front-loading washer or dryer. You know, they can help do hand broom to sweep, and then by the time they're 4 or 5, they're really ready to take on some more complex chores, like, you know, sweeping with a broom, cleaning off, like wiping down a table. In our classroom, all the children are taught to take care of their dishes after each meal, so they, you know, will, the adults will scrape the food off most of the time, just because they don't quite have that control yet. But the older ones will sometimes scrape it off themselves while an adult holds the trash bag open. And then, you know, they take their plate, their cup, and their silverware to a bin for the dirty dishes. And they, you know, they all come together, they wipe down the table with the adults spray it with water, they wipe that down, then we do the soap and they wipe that down, and they do it on the table and on their chairs. Then they push their chairs in, and like, it's totally, it's totally age appropriate. So, but you do want to find that middle ground between, you know, expecting too much and not expecting enough. And there are countless lists and articles online that will kind of give you an idea of what kind of activities, what kind of housework that you can have your child start helping with. And the great thing about preschoolers is that this is when they're usually like really eager to help you, because, you know, they just think it's so fun to spend time with you, which isn't to say you're never going to get any opposition, but, you know, saying thank you or I really like how you clean that up goes such a long way with these kids. And that's another thing, is that don't treat it as an expectation. Treat it as something that, you know, you're recognizing them for. Because if they don't get the recognition, then eventually they're going to start doing the opposite to get recognition. And you really don't want that. So, you know, just make sure you're saying thank you. Make sure you're saying that you appreciate their work. Make sure you're naming things that you are appreciating them doing. So, like, thank you for putting your dishes in the sink after dinner, or thank you for helping me to bring the laundry to the laundry room. And you don't really need to make it into a thing where, you know, you're bribing them with a reward, or, you know, it's not wrong to occasionally reward them for their hard work after they've done their hard work, but it shouldn't become a quid pro quo, basically. Like, it shouldn't be, oh, I'll help around the house if you take me to go get ice cream after work or something. And back to using utensils around the house, you know, helping with cooking, helping with household projects, helping to set up for an event, or, you know, helping to plan for like a family night or something. You know, all these things that we really think of as stuff that the parents have to do alone is sometimes, I mean, a lot of the time it's not even something you have to do alone. And even if your child is only 3 or 4, then, you know, including them, it makes them feel important, it makes them feel special, and it really gives them a sense of responsibility and like independence and maturity, autonomy, and that's really important in these early years, because you really don't want your child to become dependent on, you know, anyone older than them to do things for them. which isn't to say that there aren't things that you are going to do for them or that they're always going to have to help you. But, you know, if you start giving them these opportunities and you start including them as, you know, someone who is responsible for taking care of the house, in an age-appropriate way, you know, in a way that's not overwhelming, then it's, you know, that's going to build their future independence, their future self-reliance, you know, their self-confidence. Giving children responsibilities is actually a huge confidence booster, as long as you're doing it in an appropriate manner and not a manner that turns into a power struggle. So I really encourage you to not only let your children help with, you know, the household tools and stuff like that, but also start introducing them to things like, you know, the broom, or you know, washing dishes in the sink with sponges, or you know, there are so many things around the house that they can do, like just the tiny things, just the small things. And then as they get older and they grow those skills, then they can help a little more. And eventually this is going to transition into, you know, them doing chores independently. But for now, you will have to, and this is probably going to transition into them doing chores independent. And this will transition into them doing their chores independently as they get older. But for now, they do need that assistance, they do need that guidance, they do need to see how it's done before they can do it. And, you know, they're not going to be able to spend a whole day cleaning. They're not going to be able to, you know, pick up their entire room. But that's okay. I mean, it's a journey and it takes a while, but it's just such an important thing to include children in. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you have a good weekend. Bye.